Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to the Real Me podcast. This is a podcast where I spill the tea on what is really going on in my life. The bad, the good, everything like that. If you want my authenticity and if you want to see real authenticity and hear about authenticity, this is the podcast to listen to for that. If you're not interested, you can always just click off. So, this video is about something which, as you can see by the picture, is very obviously a voice in my head. Now, I made a video showing you sort of what it's like making a video with the voice in real time. The video was very, very difficult to film. The cadence of the voice, which I'm going to get into, was very, very repetitive. It messed with my ability to think clearly to deliver the video, and also just slow everything down. Just when I made the video, it was like I was trying to get it out, like I was working so hard to try to get it out. Um, but it's like I was doing it, and I was trying to get past that cadence. It's the only way that I can think to explain that. I can't, it's very, very difficult to put to words because it's very let's just say harrowing experience for me when I get it. If that's the appropriate word to use, which maybe it is, I don't know. Um, this voice that I get is just a really, really big part of my life now that has been really, really bothersome in the past, and it kind of still is at times. I'm not going to go into the specific details, but I'm just going to probably give you a big overview. I started noticing it at the end of 2023 when I was working at a thrift store. And I was trying to talk about the voice with the voice going on, and as you can tell by the video, I was repeating myself a lot. At the end of the video, I was like, "What is else? What else is there to talk about?" Because I was trying to think clearly and get my thoughts together, but the voice, the cadence disrupts my thinking, so I just couldn't do it. So I could barely do it. I could barely do that video. And I was very, very emotional during that video because I was just so kind of in despair about it that, it was very tough. Like when I get this thing, it is so tough. I didn't usually cry and break down about it. I mean, I'm sort of very put together about it, but I guess when I talk about it, it kind of spills out when I get it. Anyway, I started noticing it at this thrift store. Um, and it just started to come, and for first it wasn't bothersome. It was just these words, curse words combined with um the short version of the F word and what you would describe Dorian in an Asian food market. Let's just put it that way, if I'm getting the fruit right. Or what you describe things, very, very unpleasant things like manure. Sorry to bring it up. But that word, you know, um, if you can think of the word, it comes up a lot in my head, and it's just a cadence words. Very annoying, very bothersome. It's very intense, and I can't go about my life in the normal way. It is hard, and it has been very, very difficult. I started noticing at this thrift store. It didn't bother me then. I just started noticing. I just started thinking these words, and at first it didn't bother me, but then 2024 happened, winter, spring, and then I noticed it again. Started in the spring of 2024 was when I think I officially noticed the voice. Um, and I'm gonna get into some specific details about it from what I can remember since I don't have any notes down for this video. So I'll see the best that I can do. Hopefully I can get it all out. So, let's just go back to OCD first of all, because I feel like this is a manifestation of my OCD. OCD for me began in, it began midsummer of 2022. I started, let me be very, very specific without being too graphic about it. Please bear with me on this. This is a very personal podcast, so if you're uncomfortable with these things, you can always pop off. The really, really big issue that I was getting involved in with OCD was um, wiping. It's something that, we all do, but it became an obsession where I had to make myself so perfectly clean, perfectly. And, that kind of started as the manifestation back in 2017 when something unpleasant happened, let's just say. And it whole started the whole thing, and I became very, very obsessive about that. Um, so, that point on that it didn't start then, but it certainly started the summer of 2022. Um, and into the fall, it continued on, wiped continuously over and over again until eventually later on in 2023, I was sore down in my, uncomfortable area, let's just say. Um, and I was just so addicted to it. I was addicted in an obsessive OCD kind of way. It was interfering with me living a normal life. If I felt the sensation at all, had to go and check if there was anything down there. It was very, very like I want to be real here. That was the big issue. Washing hands and all that was another issue that came out of it. But the big issue was the wiping. That was the big thing that just kind of drove this whole thing, I feel like. So that happened, and into 2023, the whole, OCD got really bad. My hands were cracking. I was cleaning things like my phone and computer. I was very, very obsessed with cleaning my phone and computer because I cared about them so much that I wanted to make them perfectly clean. Now I barely clean them at all in case there's a legitimate reason to do so. But I was so obsessed with that. Um, and so, of course, I went on a trip in the summer of 2023. And that was very, very difficult because, really difficult. While it was fun, I was very constipated. Like my system is very constipated, and I've been having bowel issues with, going to the restroom and, stuff like that. So, I struggled to, go to the restroom. And it was very, as I said, challenging. And now I can talk about this because I don't have the voice running through my head, and I can actually think clearly doing this video. You're going to find this video is way better than the other one with clunky video. That was that video that I made. So the video I made was a clunky video. So anyway, um, so that was really tough. I don't want to go into the details of that. But then it just continued on 2023. I know there was something very, very bad happened September of 2023 with that. I was really, really constipated, and it just kind of came out of me. Um, in ways that I could not control, let's just say. And there was one day where I just had a complete emotional meltdown, and nobody was there at my house with me. And I've been having a couple, like I woke up in the middle of the night, had a meltdown over this because I was just so distraught with anxiety and just upset and devastation and surprise. It was a living nightmare for me. Like there were aspects of 2023, particularly late August, September time, that were a nightmare to me. And I wish that I didn't have to experience. But there was one day I went home and, I was, sitting there and, I just had things come out and I could not, get it to where it wasn't there anymore, let's just say. And, and then I felt like, oh, there's no point in doing this. There's no point in, getting myself, cleaned up or whatever, because and I just, I did eventually, get it out, but, and I couldn't do anything because of a fear I had of it, something else. But I was just trapped in there, trapped in a prison of my own making because I didn't have the proper tools, I feel like, to get, to go to the restroom. Now, when fortunately, and the timing was great with this because, yeah, I mean, comparatively, because if I got the voice back then, that, no, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. That would be extremely difficult if I didn't have a bidet to clean myself. And, and, and the voice was going. So, it came, the bidet came when I was, using the restroom. Sorry to be unpleasant in this video. I'm very, very aware of what I'm saying, but I want to paint a picture here. Very disgusting picture. But anyway, um, it came in January. I got it, installed to the you know what. Um, and, well, I just used it normally. And then spring happened, and then it just came. Like, the voice started to come late winter, early spring. Like, I'm thinking March was the month where it started, March 2024. And at the time, I was getting way too much following on my YouTube channel. I thought I needed to have more, videos and followers. I was very, very down. Was like done with YouTube at that point. And then I started my new channel mid 2024. So the current channel that I'm on now, this video is on now. But anyway, it was really, really tough. When I got it, and I quickly found out how, destructive it would become and how disrupting it would become. And it all started with this obsession with needing to make myself clean. And I thought these swear words and these words combined with the very thing that I was trying to clean and the, thing of Dorian fruit, or whatever, or, unpleasant stuff that you would describe as things being unpleasant, that voice, um, you know, I became so anxious that if I let myself lean into that voice, I would have to go in the restroom and clean myself. Like that was the fear and that was the obsession that I had. And so I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't just let the voice play out. Now I'm letting the voice play out more when it comes. But the whole time I couldn't think clearly. I was just so in my head. Like, my mom always can tell when I get it because I'm in my head completely. I'm just unfocused and, yeah. So, there's one day, April, I was obsessed with cleaning my Oracle decks that I had, which I replaced multiple times because I was obsessed with the cleaning of them. And I didn't want to clean them. And I've got, over 100 now. So that doesn't really matter anymore. I made a hard and fast rule. I will not clean the decks at all. Period. I will not touch. those decks with a cleaning spray. I made that non-negotiable rule for myself, and I've kept to it ever since I've started really buying the decks. And thank goodness I made that rule before I started buying all these decks, because I'd be cleaning, 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 cleaning. But so the very few decks I had, I started obsessively cleaning these. And it was late April, and I got this voice, and it just it it lasted like it started. It was never in the morning. It was in the afternoon. It started mid-afternoon, mid to late afternoon. It lasted through the afternoon, sometimes into the evening, sometimes even before I go to bed, wake up the next morning. It's not there most times, but it stays there for a while, and it's a constant thing that will not just go away. And that's what I've quickly found about it. It was an unwelcome guest and a monster in my head. With like the devil just came into my head and possessed my head. So, that one day I was cleaning a lot, and it's like I went on the wagon. I fed the monster. I started cleaning again, then got obsessed with cleaning, and then my mom was really, really mad at me, and she had to put a stop to all the cleaning and interfere and interrupt me and yell at me, and it was very, very startling because I was so wrapped up, like it needed to be perfect, it needed to be done a certain way, and I was doing it so obsessively that I had that voice going, and I just couldn't deal with it. And then it just happens in the middle of the day. For example, what I also remember was May of 2024. I got it when we were on our my family and I went to a Memorial Day picnic, and I got the voice then, and I couldn't focus on the food or the scenery or anything. I just had the voice playing. Like when it happens, I'm just so wrapped up in the voice. It completely takes over my mind. I can't focus on, what I'm doing in the here and now. Like I cannot be present when I get that voice. So I noticed it then, and I went to bed that day, in the afternoon, like Memorial Day 2024, and I ended up going to sleep for a while, waking up later on that afternoon. Like when I get this voice, when I used to get this voice back in last year, 2024, I just go to bed. Like I just cannot function in my normal day when I get this voice. I just cannot function. I have to go to bed and let it just play out and not live my life. Like it just takes over my life. Um, and so fortunately when we went on our trip, um, to in our vacation in July, it didn't come, but it just came in 2024. Um, and it was really, really bad. Very, very bad. That's when it started really hitting in. Um, and then I started um work at the end of 2024, and then into 2025 it just continued, and it did not stop, it did not cease, where I would go to work in 2025 and it would just comes in the middle of the day. It lasts 2 hours at worst the whole night, and it just slowly but surely became more invasive and more specific as to the cadence of the words, and more limiting as to the cadence of the words and what people could say. Expanded more and more and more, got bigger and bigger and bigger with its cadence, and now it's just so huge that it's just so hard to deal with. So, as you could tell if you watched that video, I repeated myself, and I, did all that. Like it was, that's what it's like when I make the voice. My thinking was not clearly. Like how you're drunk and you can't think clearly. How you wake up in the hospital, from something, and sometimes you can't really think clearly. You're all dizzy. Well, I can't think clearly with that voice in my head. Or, with ADHD, you can't really think clearly with that either. Um, but so, 2025 was a really, really, rough year. I got the voice, um, and, the same kind of thing late afternoons into the evening. And so now, when I get the voice, let's just talk about some things that just happened in 2025. And here are some things about it. People had to be really, really careful with what they say. Like if you were to say to me when I get the voice, "Hey, Everett, how you doing?" That would trigger anxiety right then and there. Like there's something about you doing or do you at the beginning of sentences that triggers the anxiety of the voice. Like anything with you in it, or do you, or you doing triggers the anxiety. Because of the cadence and the head and then the voice, there's words that go around that with the words that people say, and it just rhymes with it and it just kind of pieces it together to the point where it creates anxiety. So when people would say that at work or at home or something like that or something along those lines, then it would trigger anxiety. Like if somebody says the phrase asks the question to me, do you need to go to the restroom? And I have that voice, that would also trigger a lot of anxiety. Because when I got it and I got sensations in my body and I had the voice, I thought that I was not clean. I had to go in the restroom and, take care of whatever I needed to take care of. Um, so that was, very, very, you know, tough when I did that. And and things just, at work and, just in general in life, things just took longer. I was washing my hands more because of it. It's like when I washed my hands, people couldn't say certain words, or when I turned the light out to go to the restroom, I was very sensitive to is this person gonna say something that is going to trigger anxiety because of that voice, and then potentially make me want to, go in the restroom again and perpetuate the whole cycle. And sometimes I could get past it, like I was trying to get past it in my head, but other times it would just trigger so much anxiety that it would just I read certain words and I do that. And then I just feel like I need to go into the restroom and do that because, it's very, very difficult to explain. It's the best way I can explain it. It's just all very much in the mind. And it's been there for a while. It has been there for a while. It has been a familiar worst friend. Like it's a familiar friend that just like the OCD became a familiar not good friend. This voice now is a familiar not good friend. This voice, I feel, is a manifestation of the OCD that happened in my life. Um, and so the voice just kept continuing really, really bad. And then when it really, really got worse was, when I was in the hospital, 2025, um, uh, because of um, mm, bowel issue I was having that was very chronic. For a very serious issue. I went into the whole story of that in my update video of why I haven't been from YouTube, and I named names because it was a story. It was meant to be that way. So I noticed I was on these medications by this doctor that prescribed these medications to me, things like OCD, stuff like that. And these for this specifically, the medications didn't seem to be working for this. And so when I was in the hospital, that's when I really noticed the voice come again. And then what started happening was that if somebody says my name, Everett, like they say that word and call me that, anxiety would be triggered if especially if the person would say, this is going to sound, so interesting to you. Let's just put it that way. Um, how you doing today? How you doing? Um, are you doing okay, Everett? That phrase triggers anxiety for me when I get the voice. It's just, are you doing just fine? Like, something about the word just that triggers anxiety. Like, it's these very, very specific words that trigger anxiety. Like, I feel like I'm all alone in this. Like, is there anybody else out there watching this who can relate to what I'm talking about? If I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments about this. So, I got it. Um, and I just watch things and I read things and I try to focus on other things and I just cannot focus on them. I just cannot focus on them. And you cannot will it away. It just stays there like a pesky bug that won't buzz away. And, you know, yeah. So I got it in the hospital and I got it, that one night, but then it continued on until the next day and then it just stayed there. And then I found like when I was talking to people, I can't talk clearly because I was afraid of what I was going to say because it would trigger anxiety in my mind. I was afraid of what people were going to say because it was going to trigger anxiety. So I hesitated. Like I hesitate. Like somebody asked me a question, like I hesitate and falter for words because I'm just so anxious. I don't want to say something that triggers anxiety, and I'm trying to get it out, but I can't. But it just triggers so much anxiety to even say it. So I know this is very difficult for you to understand and empathize with. But this is what it is like for me personally. And this is a really, really big part of my life. So I want to talk about it here on this Real Me podcast because this is the real me and the real issues that go on in my life and the real things I'm concerned about in my life. That's what this podcast is about. Um, it continued on to the next day, and then, just in general, like when I listen to the songs that I listen to as intellectually attractive as the word. Like what I would side note, when I hear the word you being written out in a sentence, when I hear it spoken by certain people, when I hear it in songs, it is so intellectually attractive to me. I'm just so drawn to it. It just is so attractive to me to listen to. It's so human to listen to that that's coming through in music and in writing, which is a human thing, but non-human, especially in your comments. I'll get into that a little bit later. Maybe. But anyway, when I was listening to songs, I became very, very sensitive to the word you, especially what it turned into is it started from just the stuff about going to the restroom to now a constant that was TDEC that was right before the word you and then the word beginning with one of those TDEC letters, anxiety would be triggered. And I would have to go back in my head and recount what was said to check if there was not any taboo words or, you know, aspects of that sentence that would trigger anxiety. Like when I get it now, somebody says something, or hear a song of something, or somebody says something, and I just go back and have to go through that sentence to make sure that there's nothing that could trigger anxiety there. And sometimes it's notable, sometimes it's not, and then Um, I noticed that after the fact, sometimes anxiety comes, but then I'm so, attuned to it. It's so hard, very hard to live with this as my reality. And it hasn't been bothering me recently since, but it's come back. It's sure as heck ruined my life in the past because I couldn't do anything. Um, I tried to go on walks. I tried to, or I didn't go on walks. I tried to listen to music, tried to watch videos, I tried to have conversations like I did. I think I did all the things. Maybe not all the things, but maybe I did a lot of things. But I found that you could not will this thing away. You could not will it away. I was never friends with it to begin with, and I'm sure as, can I swear? Because it's just so extreme that I just want to be absolutely blunt in this video. Sure as hell not to, um, you know, being friends with it now. Um, and I don't want to make a habit of getting into swear words because I don't want to be the one, when swearing on my videos because I do not swear. I just, use that because I'm just so, feeling about this, and it's a very worst case scenario would I ever curse. Like I do, it's not who I am. I just don't curse. I never curse. I'm so accustomed to hearing curse words, but I never do it. So anyway, when I get it now, um, sometimes it comes in the morning, and oftentimes it comes when I'm in the car going places. Sometimes it comes when I'm at different places, like not at home. And it happened when I was meeting with a job coach back in December 2024, um, where she said the words "you too do" triggered anxiety right then and there. Um, and I couldn't focus on what she was saying and doing all that. Like I can't think clearly. Like I can't make videos clearly. I can't operate clearly in my life. Like I just I can't do it with this voice. It is the bane of my existence now. And for the life of me, I can't make friends with it. I cannot make friends with this demon in my head that just comes to visit like the Dust Bowl, and how the dust storms came and they were so intense and they were so bothersome and they never came away. Like they came and went and came and went. It's kind of like I'm experiencing a Dust Bowl of my own head right now. Like I'm in the Dust Bowl, and it is hard when I get it. Very, very challenging. And for any reason why I wouldn't be making videos, during my scheduled video times, it is because I get that voice. And I was not going to make a video today when I got it, and I made that video, but I mean, I did anyway because it went away. And the thing to do, the only thing I can do with this is to just let it play out. Just let it play out and just occupy myself with other things. And if I can't focus, then not. But if I can, fine. Like just like the dust storm. Like you can't make friends with dust storms that come because they disrupt your life. It's like, oh, make friends with the devil. Oh, make friends with your demon. No, you can't do that. Dust storms come and disrupt your life. Like remember in the Dust Bowl um how the dust killed the crops and then overwhelmed everybody. Um, and you just had to accept that fact and just deal with it. And that's what I have to do when I get this voice. Like I'm in that kind of period. And I could make a song about it, but I no longer do that anymore. So anyway, um, and it's never, one day after another day constantly there. Like the dust storms came and went. This voice comes and goes, and it's usually very, very predictable, middle to late at the end of the day. Um, so, um, I can only hope that this voice is not gonna, sorry about that. I can only hope that this voice is not gonna come, much in my life, and I'm hoping that it doesn't come, stay around for the rest of my life. It can last an hour. I remember when I was at work just the other week, it came at work. I couldn't focus on the work. I couldn't focus on what I was doing at work because I was so wrapped up in the cadence of it. But I could make videos. And when I make videos and when I write songs and do all that, my writing becomes very different. I use the words you do a lot, and I use the words this a lot. Like I can't think clearly when I'm writing, when I'm making videos, when I'm doing anything with this voice. And sometimes you know, I'm okay with it if I can have it and it's in the background and I can focus on do other things. But sometimes I just can't. I can't. I can't. You know, um, will it away. Just like you can't make the dust storms go away. They just came and haunted you, and you were constantly in fear of the next dust storm. Like I'm constantly in fear and anxious of when this next voice is going to come. And next voice is going to come, and it's never one day, then the next day. It's like one day, wait a couple days, and every few days it would come, and I would just be, just waiting and anticipating this voice to come. And that's kind of how I am now. First, I've been so occupied with things and, feeling better about things that I'm not occupied with. But this voice is just like, it is a problem. It is just a very bad problem that for an hour or 2 hours or sometimes really big part of the day it comes. And it just, I'm losing my patience with it. I cannot, deal with it, um, anymore, like, and this is the difference between that voice that I read with the internal voice that I get when I read, which I've come to really make friends with and accept that it's internal, that I can't change the voice that I read with. Other things like I made friends with that voice, and I have kind of, this is an exaggeration, fell in love with the voice because of the sound of it, because of the person that I thought it was coming from. I discussed that in my intellectual attraction podcast. This voice, voice in your head, a friend that is, what's easier to make friends with? A dust storm or a friend that the personality is not the best, but you like the friend anyway, and you're getting used to it and you made friends with it, but you're still not liking the personality. Like, what's easier? What is obviously easier to make friends with? I mean, I really want to talk to somebody, like some serious, like brain, psychologist. Like I do have, I'm not going to go into that personal detail because I don't want to reveal that to you, but seeing somebody like a skilled professional about these kind of things like this in this particular area of voices in your head and disruptions in the mind and how the mind works and everything to get to the bottom of the root of this voice and what causes it and what triggers it and everything like that. Like I know places that happen, but what in my brain causes it to happen? That's what I need to know so that I can find ways to fight this and not have it continue to come and disrupt my life because I do not want to have it come in my life for very much longer and disrupt my life. It is just so hard. This is just like a curse. It's like I'm experiencing a curse. And this dust storm has lasted since 2024, and it's probably going to continue on for another, I don't know, several years. I mean, I don't know. And now, it's no telling. There's always no telling how long it's going to last. Sometimes it can last just half an hour. I could focus on other things. Other times, like I could do videos and stuff when it came that Tuesday or whatever. But then other times, it just stays around and doesn't go away. Um, like just some person who works with psychology is not enough. I want a real professional on these kinds of issues. Talk me through this whole issue. Like, I need to get some answers because nothing that I have done to fight this works. So, what am I missing? What am I missing? What do I need to do so that I cannot have this be a constant issue in my life? And with all the things I'm occupied with now and interested in, I can't do any of that when I get this voice. I can't focus on the video that I'm watching. Like I'm watching, um, a video and then somebody is talking. And I'm getting caught up in the cadence of what they're saying compared with the cadence of that video is saying. And I'm not focusing on the video. Like I was saying that in the car, and when I got back from the hospital, it was like that. Um, and so yeah, I've tried to fight it, and I've tried to, um, you know, be okay with the kind of thing and just accept that it's going to be there and just let it do its thing. You cannot make friends with a thing like this. Beware the voice in your head is what the image says. And I should have changed that to, defeat the voice in your head or something like that. Beware the voice in your head. This is probably not the appropriate image for this video, so I apologize if it's not the image, like it's the negative critical judgment is what it's referring to, but this is still a voice in my head. And I don't want to fear it. I want to be able to manage it better in ways that I haven't been able to do before and know what I can do when I get it to prevent it and the skills that I can do, like immediately when I get it, at any time, no matter what, to get this voice to not bother me. Like, I want to know those tips, those tools, those tricks, those to-dos when it comes to when I get this thing. Like, I seriously want to talk to some professional about this because it's been going on for far too long. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It just been happening. Like how the dust storm lasted the whole almost 10 years of the Great Depression. And the sky would get all dark and it would be massive and it would, kill the crops like it would kill life, like it kills my life, like it ruins my life, just like the dust storm. So I think is a very, very easy to understand metaphor of how I can paint this is the Dust Bowl. I saw Ken Burns' Dust Bowl, the Dust Bowl documentary, and that was just so fascinating to me. And so, um, just how people lived through that at that time. And so that's the metaphor that I'm going to be using for this. Now, on another note, when it comes to comments, I want to continue to see comments. I want to interact with you in the comments. I want to get to know you in the comments. I want to have conversations with you in the comments. But I will, if I see a judgmental comment, like I got a comment on my original channel about a video that I was making about all punts going direct, now referring to them as green lights, and the person said, "Are you just making that up to make yourself feel good?" And I'm like, "No, I was not. It was a metaphor. You didn't understand the metaphor." So I could have put, when I see a critical comment, I'm going to put that link to the songs that I made so that you can get the message. Like, I will not accept critical comments and I will not let this get the better of me. And I'd really, really like to hear your comments under this video, telling me if you can relate, telling me if you've had experiences like this, in your head and, whatever, and others in your life who have had it. Um, I'd really, really like to know. I just really like some sympathy with this, because I can't live through this dust storm very much longer, and you know, I just want to get out of the dust storm. But the thing with the dust storm that it was in the Oregon, Midwestern something fields. But this is in my head. I can be anywhere in the world and I can get it. Like I am so afraid that I'm going to be sitting down in a restaurant in Italy one day when I grow up on vacation, trying to enjoy myself. Like I can't enjoy myself when I get it. And then this voice is going to come. I can't focus on what I'm eating. I can't focus on having conversations. And it just ruins the whole thing. Like it ruins my life when it comes. That's how serious it is. I don't wish I was, I would kill myself or anything, near to that. But, it is really brutal. It has been very brutal at times when I get the voice. So things are not completely resolved with this. I want to get this solved and I want to get to the root of the problem that I have not felt like I've gotten to. And sometime I want to see somebody about this, somebody different than who I've been seeing about this, somebody upper level, somebody more expert on this, somebody more in this niche of issues, and talk about this and find the answers to this. So that's all that I want to say in this video. Bye for now.